Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Texte's another podcast. Today we have very special guest with us. She is Elena. Originally she belongs to Romania, but she is living in Portugal nowadays. And she started her company which is Elena Bicu Travels. So Elena, can you please introduce yourself? By the way, welcome. I welcome you wholeheartedly to the Texte's podcast. Can you please introduce yourself? That who you are?
Sure, sure. Thank you very much for having me today. Usama, is that
Very-
how I say your name?
Yeah, Osama.
Usama.
Yeah.
So you said a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Romania. Portugal stole my heart about 6 years ago when I came here to do a study abroad program. A program called Erasmus. I'm not sure whether you are familiar with it or not, but here in Europe, it's a big thing. It's a program of the European Union that gives the students the chance to go and study abroad, originally for one semester, with
So
the
it's only for
possibility
the
to
EU
prolong.
countries. The program you're talking about, it's only for the EU countries, European Union countries.
Yes, I believe that nowadays there are partnerships between EU and other universities worldwide, but the program itself, this Erasmus, was designed for students from the EU countries to have a study abroad experience in another EU country.
Wow.
So that's how I ended up in Portugal 6 years ago. I came here with this scholarship, and I was supposed to stay here one semester. Then I really loved my studies. I felt they were very, very practical, probably having a way more practical component than what I had back in my studies in Romania. So I decided to apply and prolong my scholarship, and I stayed here for an entire year. And when I
Wow.
finished my master here, because I had such a wonderful studying experience, I felt I wanted to give something back to Portugal, and I decided to do a volunteering service. So my second year in Portugal, I would work with kids in a foster care institution.
So you,
And
okay.
go ahead. What
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
saying?
Then after that,
And I was working with kids 6 hours a day, always in the afternoon. So I had plenty of free time that I was seeking to fill out with other interesting stuff. And that's how I came to be a tour guide, freelancing for a free walking tour company. After I've done that a couple of times, I just loved it, and I continued doing it. 6 years later, I'm in the
you're still
tourism
doing that.
industry. I'm a tour guide myself, and I own my own company.
Wow, that's really good. I think this is such an amazing journey. By the way, when you founded Alina Biku Travels, when you laid down the foundation of this company.
Oh, not in the right time. I decided to become officially a company in the beginning of this year in January, right before
So
the whole
in
craziness
Corona
and
time.
madness happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good timing. Before I was a freelance, so there was a different status for paying taxes and declaring my income, and then I became a company, and which means that the expenses grew, and the prognostics, the forecasting for the company was great. Looking at the numbers from the previous year, well, it didn't happen to be like this, but
Yeah,
everything is
because
a
nowadays
lesson.
it's Corona time, and specifically when it comes to travel and tourism industry, it's one of the industries which are being hardest hit by Corona. So, by the way, nowadays everyone is talking about COVID-19 and it's Corona's time. How are you spending your quarantine life? Can you tell us a little bit about that before going for more travel and tourism questions? I want to
Um,
know about your quarantine life a little bit.
Of course. So I used this time. In the beginning, of course, it was hard because I saw my income dropping, and I had to deal with my own feelings, and I had to accept the new reality. I'm very outgoing, and I love being out. So being confined was very hard to take in. Um, but I tried to do the most out of my time. I created healthier routines. I have a more organized schedule because before I was all over the place. Now I had time to stay with myself and decide what's really important for me and what I want to incorporate in my life that I want to stick with me. So I've been working out every single day. I started journaling, and I've been taking a lot of classes
Okay.
Um, a lot of companies
So you are
offer.
utilizing this time in a very productive way. So
I
basically,
believe
the
it's a
point.
good opportunity to do that.
Yeah. So you are spending your quarantine days in Portugal, or you are spending your quarantine days in Romania?
Now in Portugal.
In
I came
Portugal.
back. I've been traveling for the past 5 months before the all this madness happened. I actually came back from Southeast Asia in the end of February, beginning of March, and then 1 week later everything was stopped.
Oh.
And I wanted to be in Portugal because I like to say that I have
We're gonna talk
Romanian
about
blood.
this thing that your travel and tourism, your stories about travel and tourism, because you are an avid traveler. So we are gonna talk about that. But before going for that, what you suggest to others, like you are making your quarantine days productive when it comes to other people, because most of the people are feeling depressed because of this COVID. They
Hmm.
are they have to follow the instructions of which is socially, they have to distance socially. So what
Hmm.
you suggest others how they can make these days productive?
Um, I know it's hard, and it's been hard for me too. And I think overall, my quarantine was successful, and I'm happy with what I've learned during this time. But feeling overwhelmed is normal. Feeling sad is normal. Feeling weak is normal. It's hard to deal with uncertainty, and I think the first thing is to accept our emotions instead of fighting them. To say, okay, I'm feeling like this, and it's natural that I feel like this. I embrace it, and we know that better times are coming. The thing is to not be stuck in our negative feelings of and emotions. So that's the first thing, this work that we do with ourselves. Another thing I've done was to limit my media intake. So I filter the sources I got my information from. I think it's important to stay informed, but if we look in
But
the
too much
media,
information is
it's
not good at this point in time, because yeah, it
there's
makes you
so much
feel more
negativity
stressed.
coming out of there, and actually the situation doesn't change much. I think it's important to check one article per day and really become savvy and wise in choosing the information sources, because there's so many negative and fake news out there.
Yeah,
So
I
at
think
least if you
this
take
is really an
something, take the
important.
truth, or filter
Yeah,
where
but
you
I
take your
think this
information.
is something which is really an important message for the audience, that the intake of the information is something which matters a lot. So, by the way, Alina, as you started your own company in start of this year, by
Mhm.
the way, what is the situation of when it comes to travel and tourism? How much travelers visit Portugal and Lisbon per annum? What is the
Well,
inflow of travelers, international or domestic?
the Portugal, it's a small country, so we have 11 million inhabitants living in Lisbon and in Portugal, and then in Lisbon we have half million. Metropolitan area 2 million, and the statistics from last year was that about 9 million travelers are coming, so way more people than the local population.
So 9 million international travelers came to Portugal, Lisbon.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow, the
Yeah,
number
so
is pretty. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Lisbon was up and coming. It was on everybody's mouths. All the big media outlets were covering Lisbon and encouraging travelers to come to Lisbon. And I understand why. But yeah, it was on the peak of the growth before all this.
Yeah, I think this is what is that one thing which drives you? Because doing this thing, whatever you are doing, if you don't like that thing, if you don't keep your passion alive about that specific thing, and if you don't believe in that thing, you cannot do that. So how you keep your passion alive for travel and tourism when it comes to travel and tourism?
It's honestly, I felt that it's my ikigai, if you know the Japanese concept where your passion with what you're good at comes together and what you can do. Um, I love people and I love learning from people. And I believe that as a guide, you don't, it's not just you that you are teaching the others, you're also learning a lot from the people that come to visit you. And I see traveling and being a guide as a different way of traveling because people bring their
You
places,
interact
bring
with a
their
lot of
stories.
different
a lot of different cultures, a lot of people with different backgrounds. It's extremely enriching and eye-opening,
I think
and
this
this
is one of the
drives
biggest
me.
learning.
I'm
Yeah,
really
wow.
outgoing as well, and being with people really charges me. So that's how the passion
By the way,
stays alive.
as you mentioned initially that you are an avid traveler, so you also travel to different countries.
Hmm.
Which country you like the most, except Portugal?
um,
And you really want to visit that again, and you also suggest others to visit that place.
uh-huh. I think it's hard to make a ranking because I truly believe that every place has something special. I do have a favorite country, and that's Mexico.
Oh.
Um,
What's special about Mexico? Why you like Mexico? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
mm, I think I'm a big fan of the Latin culture. I love salsa
Yeah.
dancing, bachata. I love Spanish, is my favorite language. I love the Mexican food. And then being there, the people are so warm and welcoming. It just made me feel like home.
Oh
I
wow.
just felt like,
By the way, when you internationally travel, what is that one thing which makes you travel? Like not one thing, definitely people like a lot of things, culture, food, heritage, food. What is that thing which makes you travel internationally?
I believe it's a little bit of all of them because when I travel, I want to have holistic experiences. So I try to taste as much as possible of the local culture. And the local culture, it's food, it's art, it's history, it's the people. It's all this mix. I wouldn't say that it's just one, even though I would say that food plays a big role. Because I've been in certain countries where I
You're a
didn't
food
like the
lover.
food, and then it kind of took away from the experience.
So, by the way, as we are talking about international travel, and you traveled a lot to a lot of different countries. So, with like as you also mentioned that you like food. So,
Mhm.
which country's food you like the most? It's also Mexico.
Mm, I really love Greece for food. Um, Maybe that how you love the most what you have inherited in you, and I think that Greek cuisine is very similar to the Romanian cuisine, but slightly different. Then I felt really good in Greece with the food, probably because it reminded me of home somehow, but in the same time it was different.
So, by the way, when it comes to the new normal, like we all are spending quarantine days nowadays, we all are stuck at home. What is the new normal in your mind for travel and tourism industry? Because nowadays no one is traveling. So no, new normal will be totally different, or we will be back to the point like it was few months back.
uh, I really doubt that it will ever be the same as a few months back. People will be more scared to travel. So I think that in the following months and years, we'll have less travelers than we were used to. And I believe the way we greet each other, I believe there's going to be some social distancing things. We'll probably greet
Yeah,
with
everything is
hands
gonna
up, not
change.
with a handshake. Um, in the beginning, probably it's going to be more domestic traveling because if you look at all the air traffic and the transportation industry by plane, they've been harshly impacted as well. And there's not going to be as many low cost companies. I believe traveling is going to be probably more expensive in the beginning. It's not this
I
makes
think,
me
yeah,
think that we'll
this
have
is
a way
something which
less.
is, yeah, traveling will be more expensive. We have to follow the new SOPs. Like everyone will be wearing masks. So there will be, like when it comes to small travel and tourism companies, group traveling, it will be more promoted. Yeah. So
Hmm.
people will start traveling in groups. As you just mentioned that the things will started opening in stages. Like I was reading today in Forbes, and they people mentioned clearly that initially it will be domestic travelers. They will open domestic travel, then regional, and then it will be international. Then they will go for international travel. But international travel, as you just mentioned, that it will be more expensive
Hmm.
than it used to happen in the past. Recently, Forbes mentioned in their article. So,
Hmm.
Alina, by the way, when it comes to Romania, because you originally belong to Romania, why you
Hmm.
haven't started? Do you have any plans down the line to start to replicate the same company over there for Romania
Hmm.
and to take
Uh,
this company global?
I was telling you that I feel like I have Romanian blood and Portuguese soul. I love it here. It feels like home. I thought that potentially I would have a service for Romanians to come here or even taking Portuguese people there. But honestly, it never went as far as starting to act on the thought. Or I love my country. It's very beautiful, but I feel there is a lot of opportunity here at the moment, and I
In
see
Portugal.
myself. Mhm.
Yeah. So what you're saying? Go ahead.
I think I answered your question. So my country is beautiful, but I see the opportunity here, and my heart is here. So I don't know. It can
Because the travel
happen.
and tourism industry in Portugal is booming, so that's why you want to stay over here and you want to do this.
At least it was booming. Now it's a different reality, and I would see honestly like my biggest market was from most of my travelers were coming from USA, Canada. Um, I have to adapt my experience and my services to the local market and then regional. But at the moment, my all my tourist activity it stopped, and I'm actually looking for another thing to do for a while because I looked at the statistics and numbers, and I know they are not even in the most optimistic scenarios. They are not very positive for
Yeah,
tourism.
because when it comes to 2020, no one is gonna travel. Yeah, it's usually it's people say that Corona is gonna travel this year. No one else is gonna travel in
Yeah,
2020. So
unfortunately.
I think by the way, you just talked about pivoting your tweaking your business model. How important is this to accept COVID as a reality? Because this is a reality now, and we need to change our business models to new realities so we can survive during this crisis. How important is this?
I believe it is extremely important for survival. If you want to survive as a business, you definitely have to adjust to this new reality. A trend that I kept seeing and I look into myself is creating an online experience. Before we would travel and would be with each other in person, we would be with each other online quite a lot. And I
Yeah,
promote
everything has been shifted to virtual.
I promote my services on Airbnb, Airbnb experiences, and actually, since a month, Airbnb started to have online experiences, and they are proving to be a huge success. I submitted an online experience myself as well, and I'm waiting for it to be evaluated.
So wow, I think yeah, it's really important that we have to first of all we have to survive during this crisis. Secondly, we need to avoid depression until and unless we don't tweak, we don't pivot the existing
Hmm.
models. We are not gonna survive during this crisis. So we have to save ourselves in 2020 and in upcoming years we can do a lot more.
Hmm.
So by the way, when it comes to Corona, like everything is changed. How much Corona COVID-19 affected your personal life? Because
Mm,
now you are unable to step out. You cannot hang out with friends anymore. You are staying home.
hmm. It has
Yeah.
impacted a lot. There were moments when I was low and I was thinking that it took away everything I loved: traveling, friends, dancing. The good thing is that I'm in Portugal. I'm in the country where I feel at home and I can go for a walk. The regulations in Portugal, they were put in place quite early on, and I feel that at the country level they implemented good measurements, so we didn't go as bad in terms of number of deaths, contaminated people. And even though there was a lockdown in place, the lockdown wasn't as strict as in other countries. So if I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to go to the supermarket, of course, we need to use mask. We'll make a line. We'll keep social distancing at the supermarket. Not a lot of people would be allowed in a supermarket in the same time, but we could still go out. If I wanted to go for a walk, I wouldn't be, as long as I keep social distancing and I wear a mask, no one would ask me on the street, where are you going? Uh, it wasn't the case in Romania, in Spain, in Italy, where just one family member was able to go and do the groceries and just once a week. So the blessing was that I
At,
haven't
yeah.
felt just as much in a cage as in other places, and that was good.
So basically, when it comes to Spain and Italy, at those places, the situation was far worse than Portugal. So I think this is one of the reason, because the death rate at those places were too high.
Hmm.
So yeah. So by the way, when it comes to your business life, as you just
Hmm.
mentioned that it has been affected a lot, because you started your company in early 2020 and now it's Corona's time and people are not traveling. So how much that has been affected and what you are expecting that when it's gonna revive back and when you will be able to start working with domestic travelers.
It's been my business life has been very much affected. As much as I considered putting my main activity as a guide and as a worker in the tourism industry aside for a while, um, it has affected me to a point where I reassess my skill and I'm looking in the job market to see where I can serve the world in a different way. Because being a guide, you get to develop a lot of skills, but when you open a business, you don't necessarily think that you will have to go back and look for a job. And it's a very interesting shift because I forgot what it's like to apply for a job, to go through an interview process. Um, it's a good. I believe that every experience, even if it's uncomfortable, has something to teach you, and I'm relearning these skills.
Yeah, I think it's time to we can utilize this time in a very positive way that we can learn about new things. This is the
Hmm.
time to learn new skills, to upgrade yourself,
Hmm.
reflect back into mistakes, and be a better person. Be a better person every single day. So, by the way,
Hmm.
when it comes to the current situation of COVID-19 in Portugal and Romania,
Hmm.
what is the current situation? How people are following the social distancing rules? People are wearing masks. They're following the government instructions or not? What's happening?
So far, I feel that people are very respectful. In Romania, of course, I talk to my parents and they tell me that they need a declaration whenever they leave the house. Everybody wears a mask. This is a bit, I don't have a big overview of what's going on in Romania, but here in Portugal, I think that the situation was handled pretty well. First of all, because they were put in place a lockdown quite early on and the number of cases didn't explode. Um, and then because people are really careful. I see in the beginning, coming from a trip to Southeast Asia where everybody was wearing a mask and coming here and seeing that they weren't checking the temperature or people weren't really wearing masks, I was intrigued because I felt that it was there. I felt it much earlier than the people in Portugal. But slowly, slowly, as the news were coming over, more and more people were adapting to the situation and wearing masks, being careful with the social distancing. I think I feel that the situation is being well handled in Portugal. There are no gatherings. It's not so we were in an emergency state until a
Lockdown
couple of weeks.
lockdown in Portugal is strict, or now the restrictions are they lifted a few restrictions.
The lockdown, as I told you before, wasn't as strict as in other countries. So it was a lockdown. You would see a way less people on the streets. All the businesses were closed except the supermarkets and the pharmacies. And since we left that was emergency state and lockdown. I don't know exactly the date, but maybe two
The
weeks
restrictions
ago.
when they initially started the lockdown, when government initially implemented the lockdown, the restrictions at that point in time and now, have they changed or still the lockdown is the same, or they
They
have
have changed.
uplifted few restrictions?
They have changed. In the beginning, there was emergency state, and most of the businesses were closed except pharmacies, supermarkets. Now, since 2 weeks, I think, more or less, there is a new state. It's called the calamity state, and businesses are slowly reopening, but following guidelines from the government regarding the social distancing. For instance, restaurants are starting to open up. and you see that the tables are they work at 50% of their capacity, and people were placed with enough distance between them. But slowly, we're
Right.
starting to feel some normalcy.
So the things are coming back. This seems like the things are coming back with the new norms, with the new rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is something. This will be something which is encouraging for the people over there, because in quarantine people are feeling depressed and they are not feeling good about all this. So I think this when things will be come back to normal, at least the 50% things will be open. So I think people
Mm-hmm.
will feel a bit normal.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, as you
They're
mentioned
taking their life
that
back.
which is your favorite city in the world? Yeah. So which is your favorite city in the world and which you traveled before and you want to travel again?
Mm.
Like you mentioned the
Good
countries
question.
earlier, like Greece, and you mentioned Greece for food and Mexico as a country.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that city? Yeah.
Wow, it's so hard to respond this question. I have to go to Mexico. One of my favorite cities, it's Guanajuato. It's in Mexico. It's a very colorful. It's a UNESCO heritage
So you
site. A
want to
very
visit that
colorful.
again? You also want to visit that place again?
I would definitely go back to Mexico. Probably that city as well, Guanajuato. And then I really love Cartagena. I love colorful cities. There's something about the colonial architecture that makes my heart dance.
So by the way, do you have any plans to visit Pakistan anytime soon after COVID?
It hasn't been
Because
on my
Pakistan
list.
is close.
I have I had I've been to a couple of places. I've never thought about Pakistan, but maybe you can be the ambassador for your country and tell me why I should
Yeah.
visit you.
So basically, the thing is that when it comes to Pakistan, let me tell you a little bit about Pakistan. The best thing we have is the cultural values. Like people, most of the people travel for culture. We have amazing cultural values. People, the kind of hospitality you are gonna
Mm-hmm.
see in Pakistan. So it's amazing. You will be amazed with the kind of hospitality we people have over here in Pakistan. And the food, definitely the food is amazing over here. And we have from white sand beaches to the mountains to high peaks, we have everything in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So even Pakistan was declared for 2020 as a top travel and tourism destination globally.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And even when it comes to adventure tourism, Pakistan was number 3 on the list when it comes to globally. I'm talking about the global according to the global news.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is the future of travel and tourism in Pakistan is amazing, but due to COVID, like everything has stopped. No one is traveling,
Mm-hmm.
but we will
Unfortunately.
revive back because this is a resilient industry, and I think travel and tourism industry will come back with with few changes. Like definitely we have to follow the SOPs and the new instructions, but it
Mm-hmm.
will come back.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, Alina, thank you so much for your time, for
Thank you
sparing
for
out time
having me.
for this podcast. I think it's a pleasure to have you for the podcast.
Same here.
So, yeah.
Thank you. I wish you all the
So,
best. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
I also welcome you to Pakistan. And whenever you want to visit Pakistan, we welcome you wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much. We will be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have
Thank
a
you
nice
for
day.
listening.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.